Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm figuring out this new stand.
You're good. I think my stand is too tall. I will be sitting like this. Hello,
Nice.
how are you?
Pretty excellent. How are you?
Pretty excellent as well.
I'm
So,
like balancing this on my voting pamphlets.
don't you love fun little rigs for making social media videos work?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So it's so good to meet you.
It's good to meet you too.
Yeah, where are you tuning in from right now? Are you in LA? Are you somewhere else?
I'm in LA. I'm North Hollywood.
Nice.
You're
I'm
in
on the
LA too, right?
No, I'm in the New York area.
Oh, chill. Nice.
Yeah. So we're bi-coastal right now.
Nice. I love
And
New York.
yeah, me too. It's really great. I've yet to go to Los Angeles actually, so one day.
It's pretty cool. It's really, really warm. There's beaches, which is nice.
That's that's good. Sunshine.
hmm
Yeah. So as people are tuning in, I see a few people have joined us. I think more will come in as we continue.
hmm
Um, I'm going to give a welcome in a moment, but as you're tuning in, drop where you're tuning in from. Let's see where everybody's from today. Can you tell me how to pronounce your first name? That way I know that I'm getting it right.
You're good. It's Gabriel.
It's Gabriel. Awesome. Okay. So, very nice to meet you, Gabriel. And yeah, I guess let's get started. So, hey everybody, my name is Morgan Taylor. I'm an award winning documentary filmmaker, and I'm here with the Women in Film Project for the Featured Artist Series. And we're so excited to have Gabriel with us today. This is the fifth installment of the Featured Artist Series. And as a whole, the Women in Film Project is all about telling inspiring stories of filmmakers all around the world. We're making a global filmmaking community of people who are doing awesome work, have all the experience and the wisdom and the nuggets to pass along to those who are just starting out or dreaming of starting out, to create this beautiful community for women in film. So I'm here with Gabriel Carnick. And Gabriel, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself for those on the call who don't already know who you are?
Awesome. My name is Gabriel Carnick. I am an award-winning director and cinematographer. I'm based in Los Angeles, but I've been lucky enough to work globally. Um, I am trying to join the local 600 this year. I've shot feature films, music videos, commercials, documentaries, and my focus is usually any genre, but something with either like a message that's positive for the world or social justice or female or queer in nature. So
I love that. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said of inspiration and where we draw it from, as well as the types of stories we like to pour ourselves into. Yeah, with that, I'm curious, what are some of your inspirations, whether people you've looked up to in the industry or things that just inspire you to do what you do?
well, I adore Reed Morano. She's kind of the goal. She's a DGA, ASC, DP, and director, and she's absolutely incredible. Rachel Morrison's the same, DGA, ASC, DP, and director. They're both incredible female filmmakers. Um, I love Dustin Daniel Cretton. He did a movie called Short Term 12, which drastically changed my life as a director. Um, and I think I'm just like constantly inspired by movies that are coming out. I don't know. I really enjoy going to movies. I missed it during the pandemic. I love going to theaters. I love seeing stuff with people and having them like react in person.
What is it about the theater experience in person versus watching at home?
I think that that's like people are like theaters will die. They'll never die because like there's nothing like seeing the right movie with the right audience. Like seeing a Marvel film in a theater full of nerds at midnight is incredible. Seeing movies that are like have a huge effect and impact on their audience, like horror movies. Like if you see Scream 4 in theater, it was incredible. If you see Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard is incredible in theater. Multiverse of Madness in theater was insane because people just were like, uh, there's nothing like being a ga with a whole, like with 100 strangers. Just like it's hilarious. You become a united force together, and it makes strangers instantly a community, and it's incredible.
I love that. Yeah, I've heard that too with filmmaking. It's not done when the picture is done, when everything is locked and things are in festivals. It's really done when the viewers are viewing it, and that is the completion of the filmmaking process. Would you agree with that?
I think that's yeah, that's it's a because I think yeah, if the concept is it isn't art that is being put out, it's art that's being received. So I think that yeah, I think that it's like the message being sent is the whole project, and then the message being received is everything. It doesn't matter until it's received. That's true.
Like the tree falls in the forest. It's like it has to be seen. It has to be appreciated in some way.
Mhm.
Like,
Absolutely.
awesome. So, a lot of what we've been doing with the Women in Film Project is telling stories in the journey of filmmaking. How did you get your start in filmmaking? What initially drew you to the entertainment industry?
I am one of those very lucky people that's always known what I wanted to do. I really, really great ADHD, so I do like jump around on my focus. Like I love history and I love science, but I was making little movies with my friends when I was a kid. I would edit music videos when I was a kid to like TV shows. And like I didn't understand what editing software was, so I would like and I didn't have a tripod, so I'd set up a little camcorder on like a stack of books and like press record and press play on my stereo and play on the TV all at once, and I'd cut in camera music videos, and I thought that's how it was done. Um and then I kept making little films until I went to undergrad for film. But before that, I went to boarding school for writing. And in my interview, they had asked me why I was going for writing, and it's because like I believe at the core, every great film is like it's made in the writing. If it's not there, it's not on screen. Um, so I went to boarding school for writing for film, for poetry and stuff and screenwriting, and then I went to undergrad in film, and then I went to Chapman for my MFA in film directing, and then I was just working in LA.
Yeah, was that? I have like a lot of questions of that, but I'm curious about when you started working. Was that just listening? Did you know people? A lot of people wonder, how do you break in to the industry?
So I have worked in a couple different states. So it's different everywhere. Breaking in somewhere like South Carolina is difficult because there's not a lot of work. But Atlanta has a lot of work. So that's like Facebook. You'd find work there. Ohio and Columbus, you would find work like through friends or other alumni, and then Facebook and like cold calling. And then LA was I work with a lot of people that went to Chapman or a lot of people at NIFA or USC. Like there's a lot of communal networking. And then also I cold call 10 companies a day, and just pitch myself. Uh, and like 1 in 1,000 leads to a job. But I've gotten a couple jobs that way. Like you can cold call. Facebook is a really good resource for like indie and lower budget stuff, and then you'll just build your network after that. But Facebook's probably the easiest.
For Facebook, is that I've seen the alumni groups. If you're a member or an alumni of some sort of organization or something that does film, is do you mean that, or are there other maybe local community filmmaker groups to look out for?
Oh no, like if you're in LA, there's about like 10 different groups that are like LA low budget indie filmmakers, LA film crew. I need a production assistant. I need an assistant camera. I need a camera operator. Like there's a bunch of different groups that you can join without being an alumni of anything. Honestly, the alumni groups probably have less job opportunities than the
Mm.
standard groups. And then there's places like Indeed if you're looking to teach in the interim, but they don't have a ton of crew work. Um, I didn't have a great experience with Mandy or Staff Me Up, but some people do. So I don't know.
Okay. No, those are all great resources for people who are trying. And I like even the persistence of the cold call. It's almost like try everything, be persistent, keep keep at it, and then something will come of it. Even if it's the 1 in 1,000, you can be persistent to get the work.
Yeah, and cold calling, like you'll get invited to parties or your network, or you'll go have lunch with somebody or coffee with somebody, or like I like a lot of musicians and I'll cold call some of them. And sometimes that works out. Like if I just love somebody's music, I'll hit them up. Or if I see a short film, I saw the short film recently and I can't remember the name, which is terrible. Um, which is awful because it was absolutely glorious. But I hit up the director and the DP on Instagram and just told them how much I liked it. And then we just chatted for a while. So you can always DM people, which is shocking to me.
Everyone is so available.
Everyone is like crazy available.
Modern technology, it's just like you don't have the necessarily the secretary blocking the way. It's just social media has opened that up where you can talk to people.
Yeah, and it's incredible that a lot of really amazing cinematographers that I look up to, it's absolutely incredible that I'll send a message on like Instagram and a shocking amount of them will just reply. Like I'll ask a question about this shot or this movie or this scene or how they colored it or what show let they used or like how they built it or what the lighting schematics were, and they'll just explain. People love to tell you how they did stuff, which I think is so amazing.
That's a huge resource, just talking to people. When you do network and meet people, whether it's at the parties or when you reach out, what's your calling card typically? Is it like a business card or resume, or like a, do you lean on a particular type of reel or a website, or what's the thing that you're handing out to tell people about you?
I have cards. I have to update my cards though because I bought my domain name and I have to change something in it. Um, but I think that cards are really great. So it would be good to like hand out a card and on the card have your Instagram handle because most people are doing stuff over Instagram now, but it is like very there's something that rings very true in a business card. I think that a lot of people like, especially if you're working with older crew members. There's something like very respectable about a card. People don't really give out phone numbers. They give out IGs, but like I think cards are really great.
All
Like
right.
your website, your email, your reel. Definitely get a website when you can. I think that that's huge. If you're,
Yeah. You said that you were originally going for writing and that storytelling is really a big backbone of film. Do you, did you, was that for more understanding, or do you also write?
I also write. I have a couple short films that I'm working with a production company to make right now, and I have some other short films I'm shopping around, just like queer little short films, all pretty lower budget. That's I try to write pretty limited budget stuff. And then I wrote a feature that I'm finishing now, and I'm starting the next feature. One's a drama, and one's like a time travel movie. I don't know, but I do write, and I also write poetry. I have a couple manuscripts I sent to contests and stuff, so I still write.
Awesome. When you say you're, actually, I forgot what you said exactly, whether it was pitching or shopping around. Do I was curious what your process is for finding projects that you want to work on, but also if you're writing and if it's your story, getting that in front of the right people.
Um, so for getting it in front of the right people, I don't have an agent yet. I am looking for like a DP agent. Um, but for pitching and stuff, the bigger pitch meetings I've been in, I've been as a cinematographer. So it's usually the director's agent gets us a meeting and we have a pitch meeting that way. However, you can always buy IMDb Pro. You can always cold call people. Like let's say you loved this movie and it's really similar to a movie you wrote, send them an email. Like get IMDb Pro, send them an email, be like, hey, I'll be in LA this week. I would love to take you to coffee. I'd love to buy you lunch. I'd love to talk to you about it. And then just do it. And like that IMDb Pro has a, I don't have it, but one of the producers I work with does it that way. And he has a really good success rate. Um, and for the short films I am doing, I just cold called a couple different producers and I had lunch with a couple different ones and one of them connected really well with me and really liked some of the scripts. So we're doing those later this year, I believe.
Great. Again, amazing resources. And I think I like how you say when it's almost a generosity of information. When people are so eager to just answer the questions and tell people how they do things, I think that that is a great way of inspiring young people. Like you're removing the barriers by explaining things and not like, oh, you have to figure that out on your own. You have to earn your stripes.
Yeah, I think that that's a mentality, but I think it's a kind of a patriarchal lie. when people are like, well, you have to do it the hard way because I did it. That's just not. Um, I think that's only for a certain group that's able to do that, and it's usually a group that comes from a certain amount of money. So it's like just cold call, just use Instagram, use IMDb Pro, call people's agents, leave messages, tell them how much you love them. Just like yeah.
Yeah. Is there any mindset shifts that were involved in that process where maybe, like, I don't know, there are a lot of people who are maybe afraid to cold call, or they don't think anything will come of it, so what's the point? Or is there anything, like, whether it's optimism or anything you had to shift to get to doing that more?
Yes, I am a very socially anxious person. It's very difficult for me to talk to people, so it's was really hard for me to make phone calls. Um, my mom also doesn't like making phone calls, so I was making phone calls for her when I was younger, so that was really helpful. But I think it's don't say I want to be a director. If you've directed anything, you're a director. If you've shot anything, you can be a DP. Like where we are is what we say we are. So just like I don't know, practice a script and if you haven't done anything, be like, I want to do it. But I think that it's optimism, it's confidence, it's love. Like if you love cinematography and you love this cinematographer and you love this specific movie and this specific scene and how it's shot, and you're like, how did you light it? Just hit them up on Instagram and be like, I love this. Just be honest. Like a lot less people respond to this is me and this is my stuff. Look at it. A lot more people respond to I love this thing that you did. Tell me how you did it. So I don't I think it's a mindset of just recognizing that we're all artists and getting over the trying to separate ourselves from the best. Like there's this barrier between us and the best, and I think that once you realize we're all in the same field and it's a pass down group education kind of deal, it gets a lot easier when it's just like everyone is your teacher. Just act like they are.
Yeah, it's also a shift, I think, from almost a celebrity mindset of like, oh, I could never be that, or I can't do what they're doing, and it's like we're all artists, we're also all people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, everybody's not everybody, but a lot of people are like picking up their kids from work or like taking care of their parents. Everybody's going to work every day and trying to make art that matters. Like I don't think that there's any that I think that's like with doctors. I think that there's not very many doctors out there that didn't want to be a doctor because they wanted to help people. I think there are very few people in film that didn't start being in film because they want to make art that matters in some way. So I think if we all approach it to like we are all in the same, we're just on different like paths in the same field. So it's like I don't know. I think that once you get over that, you can still be like blushing and embarrassed, but they're not
Yeah.
they're gods.
Yeah. Have you ever approached people? Sometimes on some of the other people I've talked to talked about mentorship, whether that's approaching people to like teach you more, or even since we're all on a journey, it's, mentorship can be looking to people who are gone farther and being like, hey, I want to learn how to get where you are, but also helping people who are not as far as you are and helping them down their path. Have you done anything like that?
So I don't have a specific mentor, but I've had mentorship experiences where some of the people that are cold color people I really look up to, and they'll have coffee with me or meetings with me. Sometimes they'll let me like shadow them on set. Sometimes they'll like explain how they did stuff to me or did stuff in a scene for me. So I am looking for a mentor, but like I'm always very nervous to ask. So I just try to have like meetings with people, and then like once we've had a couple meetings, I'll be like, hey, but I do have people that in essence mentor me, but I don't have a specific mentor. But there's a couple different DPs especially that have talked me through. And when I went to Chapman, the directing teachers were did a lot of mentoring. But and
Yeah.
one of my teachers still talks to me on a regular basis, so he is very much like a mentor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think from everybody, then that becomes a always learning mentality where anything can be a learning experience, whether it's a person, a coffee meeting, like a short conversation, or maybe even experiences like learning on a job or learning from watching something else.
Yeah, for sure. You can. I think if you can go and shadow people, that's incredible, especially if you're looking at TV as a DP or as a director. And I think mentorship programs are really good, like the HAP initiative. I know a lot of people, like I always apply to that, but I know a lot of people who've gotten in and it's been incredibly good. Warner Brothers, all that stuff is really good to apply to. Just keep applying until they let you break in. That's what I'm told. Yeah, and then yeah, shadowing people, meeting people for coffee, anything you can do. Oh, asking if you're interested in cinematography, asking cinematographers to see their lookbooks if they're willing to show you, pitch decks
Okay.
if they're willing to show you. Like, because if I think that a lot of people think that inspiration only comes from other films, but you'll find that some of them really love paintings, and I don't know. It's just good. It's good to see their favorite stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone has a lot to teach and to learn, and yeah, just to glean all along the way. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. So on your journey, what are some of your biggest accomplishments or things you're proud of in your career?
Uh, that's awesome. I really love a short film I directed a few years ago. It was my thesis film. I think I'm not I'm like both an arrogant and like a very self-conscious person at the same time. It's lovely. But I love that film. I think it's probably one of my best accomplishments as a director. That's the one I've adapted into a feature script, and then the new feature script I'm working on is like a time traveling queer movie, which I really like. And then as a DP, I have shot two feature films that I totally love. One is a drama. It's on Amazon. Um, and it's like emotional realism, which I love, like, or magical realism. I don't know what the difference is. And then the other one is a comedy that's going to Shopping Around Festival right now, and it's doing really well, and it's so funny. And the director, who's also the lead actor, is incredible, and I love them. They look totally different. And the next one we're shopping around right now, we're pitching is a thriller about ableism, and it looks different than anything we've ever done. Like I love this director that I usually work with because every time I'm just like, I'm gonna do something weird. And he's like, do it, and I don't know. It's great.
That's amazing. And I think that's how, like, encouraging people to not do something so cookie cutter or what everyone else is doing is how you get amazing, like, I'm trying to think of the word, but like something that's different and beautiful and that hasn't been seen before. It's by encouraging people to do their thing and add their artistic flair on their pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. For the one that's on Amazon, can you tell people what it's called or if anyone's interested in going and watching that?
Oh yeah, it's called The Forbidden Wish. It stars Johnny Perchtold and Sammy Ratibi, and uh, it is a drama based on a play about. It's mostly a bottle movie, so it's almost all one location, and it's a real time movie, so it's happening like it's like a 2 hour conversation, and it's about a young boy who suffers from mental illness that wants a rabbi to give him the mourner's kaddish, which is a prayer for the dead because he wants to kill himself. So he's essentially asking for a blessing to commit suicide, and it's a pretty wild little movie, and I loved shooting it. The writer director is Michael Carnick, and he's my cousin, and he's the one I'm doing the thriller with. He's absolutely incredible.
Amazing. Yeah, so anybody who's interested, go and check that one out on Amazon. It must be so cool to see your work go through that whole phase of, you know, pre-production, production, post out there, festivals, but then also to be received and to be seen. Do you ever, I don't know, is there a certain feeling that you feel when your work is out there for people?
It's incredible. I remember when the Forbidden Wish went to festival and did pretty well, and then production. I remember when the director told me that a production company was picking it up to put it on Amazon and Vudu and all that stuff, and I was just like, I don't know. It makes me feel like a grown up for the first time. It's pretty cool. I always feel like a kid, so it's cool to be. I don't know. It makes you feel like you're actually doing something. Like it's real. It makes it concrete. It makes you feel like you're supposed to be here.
Awesome. I love that. And I'm excited for you as all you have so many in progress projects. I'm excited for you to feel more of that
Yeah,
too. That's because that sounds really wonderful.
yeah. It's very addictive to just be like I would love to get something on. I'm sure you've seen like HBO documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best. Like if I ever make a documentary and it ends up on HBO, that's it. That's the epitome of like documentaries to me. Like if I think when stuff goes to the right place, it's just the coolest thing in the entire world.
Yeah. Do you have certain dreams, whether it's like, I'm trying to think of the word to describe it, but you know how sometimes people have goals where it's like, here's my 2 year goal, my 5 year goal, my 10 year goal. And then sometimes it's just like, here are my big dreams and I'm going after them.
Yeah. Well, my short-term goal is I'm trying to join the local 600 and get an agent as a cinematographer just to uh, get more work and do more features. I have a feature I'm shooting, two features I'm supposed to be shooting either the end of this year or early next year. And I'm trying to do stuff before then. So I'm trying to get an agent and join the local 600 so I can do more union work. And then long term, I would love to, which is silly, I would love to be like a DGA director and join the ASC as a cinematographer because that's just the best. The best are in there. And that's, yeah, that's my goal. And I want to make movies that are like queer or social justice or just trying to make the world a better place and are beautiful and like be able to eat food and pay rent on that.
That is a great dream. I don't think it's silly at all. To be able to make a living off of something that you love doing.
Yeah, that's
What's,
it.
yeah.
Have the money to buy a house in California because I want my mom to move out here, so but I have to like buy a house and housing here is a
Mm.
joke. In New York, it's probably the same as New York.
Yeah, it's similar. It's a crazy, crazy market right now.
Mm.
Yeah. Looking for some more questions. And for those of you who are watching, feel free to drop your questions. There's a Q&A box or write in the chat. We'd love to answer all of your questions. I have one here. What's the most challenging part about cinematography?
Um, I mean, I think it's I think I'm really crazy about pre-production. I will spend an insane amount of time in pre-production. I love overheads. I love lighting plans. I love lookbooks. I love lens plots. I love lighting plots. Like I'm very much into pre-production because when I'm on set, I'm just like going. It's just like so you can make instant decisions. Um, so I think challenging is probably making sure adapting the plans on set to make them work in the time you have to get the director's dream, I think is challenging, but it is also my favorite part. It's the hardest part, but it's like great because it's the most artistic part. Because you have your plan, which you can always fall back on, but the director's like, but I want it to feel like this instead. And it's just like great. I love that. So being very adaptable and staying calm in the environment when everything is crazy is pretty hard. And remembering that like no shot is worth your safety and we're not doctors and it's stressful, but like meditate, like keeping that work-life balance in your mental health is hard, but I do absolutely love it.
Yeah. Is there something in that work life balance and mental health, whether it's like tricks or practices or things that you do that is helpful? Because that is a big part in I think any field, but as a filmmaker, a lot of times that journey is like a lonely entrepreneurial, like you're going after your dream thing. Is there anything particular that you do or any advice in that avenue?
Make sure to give yourself time off. Like give yourself weekends. Like we work every day of the week. When you're not on set, you're working for set. You're writing, you're doing something creative to move yourself forward. Like we are constantly at work as artists. So you need to make sure to give yourself a couple days off every month. Go to the beach, hang out with your dog, go read in a park, go to a museum, like do something and see your family and talk to your family. Nothing we do will ever be more important than the people in the world. So, and it also keeps us connected, like emotionally to people. Like the best stories you're going to write or do are going to be emotionally based. So if you're working constantly and you never have that, you lose it. You lose where it's coming from. You get lost in the capitalism of all of it, which is great, but it's also just like not necessarily what it's about or what it should be about. So it's just like make sure that you're living your life every time I shoot a feature film, I try to take a week or two and go somewhere, like go somewhere and do something and not work. And I think that that's important to make sure that you take vacations and give yourself time and go on walks. And like if you're just like not feeling it one day, like if you're working and you're just not feeling it, like not obviously on set because you can't do that, but like if it's like one of the days you're supposed to work at home and you're just burnt out, like you can always just take a day. Like go binge a TV show. I don't know. Like just remember that we're not doctors, we're not lawyers. What we do is important and it matters, but it's like it's impossible to do if you're burned out.
Yeah, that's amazing advice and very important because sometimes we think that if I'm working harder, I'm having more of an impact, and like or like I'm having what I'm doing has more value because I'm go 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 go. But you can't really help. I don't want to say help people, but you can't help others if you're on empty. You know, you can't, but you also can't maybe work out of an overflow if you're like all your tank of energy and is all burnt out.
Yeah, I think that there's, especially from the older generations, I think there's a mentality in this industry too that because we're all working on our own, it's very easy to allow uh, the toxic work environment mentality to sink in. It's very, very common in our industry. So I think it's really important to remember that, like, you are a person and you should be treated as such and like treat yourself as such. So like the idea is that if you hustle harder, you'll be more successful. But it's like you do also need to like go to the beach, like go to a creek, go to a lazy river, be out in nature. Do don't bring a camera somewhere. Like just go.
Yeah. The rest becomes something that is productive, and the self care is something that is actually moving you forward.
Yeah. And a lot of people in the industry will tell you if you're not finding work, go on vacation. You'll get 20 work calls. Like that's always how it is. Plan a vacation.
It's the phenomenon. As soon as you don't want to hear from people, it's like, there we go. A bunch of
Here's
open doors.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Have movie night. Have like friend things. Go see people. Like it's surprising where jobs come from when you're like relaxed.
Mm. It's almost like an energy thing of the law of attraction. Like when you're I'm not really sure how it works, and that's like I'm not an expert in that, but it's like almost when you're all stressed, it's like you're not allowing anything to come to you. But when you're relaxed and open-minded and like it's so surprising, but you're right. It just things start happening, connections start being made when you're not trying so
Yeah.
hard, grasping so tightly.
Yeah, I think it's not in a religious sense, but there is a type of faith to it. And like to be humble and to also be confident and to also have faith. Like and to never like you can always if you have to choose between like working yourself to death for one job or like taking a week and being a human and then like delivering for doing a gig work for a week or something or just taking a teaching job for a short amount of time, like there's a lot of mental health stuff that we gloss over in this industry in order to like be constantly hustling, like taking jobs that pay you under minimum wage and stuff like that, where it's just like no, just it's cool to do whatever you got. Like we're in a generation where we're never gonna fully get to where our the generation before was at our point. So it's like you don't need to stress about that
Is
as much.
that ever is that ever a factor for you in picking jobs?
The money,
Like the mental health and the whether that's like,
yeah,
oh, this is like a high stress one, or this is like something that will take away something I value in my life, whether that's like peace or whatever it may be.
yes. I think that the pandemic though was traumatic and devastating and a lot of people died. I think that there were inadvertent mental health positives for some of us, and for one of mine was like sort of I've always had a sort of moral code. Like I will do horror movies and thrillers. I love anything. If it's a well-written horror movie, I'm in. But I did turn down a feature because, and there's no shade to the feature at all. But for me personally, I can't do anything that glorifies gore. I'm not like I've done a movie with gore in it because it was a really well-written queer horror movie and it was
Right.
fantastic. That's fine. But if it's a movie that's very much about the glorification of pain and or gore itself, that's my mental health is not built for that. I know some people are totally chill with it and that's what they love and that's great. But like So there's that kind of thing. Um, there are type of I'm very comfortable shooting sex scenes. I've shot a lot of them, but it's uh, how somebody how the creative team handles how we're going to do sex scenes will very much inform whether or not I'm comfortable taking a job. Um, but now we have a lot more rules about it, so it's a lot less of a problem. And then my parents are not super young, so if they are needing something, then obviously that will affect whether or not I'll take a job. Um, so yeah, I think I don't. I'm not worried about the amount of hours. If it pays me enough to pay rent and it's a really good script or a really great crew or like the movie's like really important, then I'm usually super in. But there are there's a few factors. Am I going to have nightmares for a month? I'm not going to take it. Or like, does this person think of labor as less important than equipment? That's usually pretty much a no for me. Like you can usually tell that really quickly. If
Hmm.
somebody pay crew very little, but they'll get the most expensive equipment, then I'm usually out.
So that's really their value of what they place the value on people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That like I can I my crew is incredible. I've had the same crew for years in LA, and I've worked with some incredible crew in New York and some incredible crew in Atlanta, and I'm trying to break more into New Orleans, and like I worked with incredible people, and nobody's ever paid enough. Obviously, that happens. But if there's a I usually I work with one producer a lot, and she's incredible because she will just give me a flat rate budget for crew and gear because she knows like I love to do my own budgets as a cinematographer because then I can distribute the money. I can break even on equipment and crew. Like if I need to bring a camera, like we don't necessarily need to shoot on the Alexa Mini LF if the crew needs to be comfortable, like more comfortable. Like they need to be paid like what they're. You'll never be paid enough, but you should be paid enough that you're not worried about it. Like a first AC can't be a great AC if they're worried about rent. So yeah, I think that a lot of producers that I work with are really incredible in letting me have more of a hand in budgets than I think DPs normally have in my experience. So I really appreciate when they do that because it's then I can get you a great image. Like you can be on a Black Magic, like you be on a FX9. Like you don't need the nicest stuff always.
Yeah. For for you, is that something that you learned whether in film school the budgeting side, or is that something that is more you knowing what you want to do creatively and then translating that to budget?
I really like math. I'm kind of a nerd, which is like I approach cinematography from a very math base as well. I really, really like numbers. I was really into math in school, like math and science. So when I was working as a one-man crew, I was a documentarian for an art gallery for a while, and I was a one-man crew, so I had to do all the budgets and everything myself. So I guess I did it then. It was after undergrad, before grad. I started doing budgets then, and then in grad school. I learned movie magic and I like did some budgets for like a couple features that I wanted to do. So I think yeah, I had to learn it, so I did. Movie magic is great. I don't own movie magic now, so I just do it in Excel. But
Is Movie Magic an app?
yes, so if you were in the producing world, there's a movie magic budgeting and movie magic scheduling. So if you're a first assistant director, you're usually using movie magic scheduling to schedule, like do the strip board and day out of days and stuff like that. And then movie magic budgeting is what is the standard for budgets in the film industry because it comes with a top page. But the program is like $300 to $500. So there's a big barrier for a lot of people. Um, but in my experience now, a lot more people are accepting like if you can pre-program Excel and like different softwares to have the same formulas. So I just pre-programmed one of those over the pandemic. I took like a week and just made I made a blank Excel sheet that just had all the formulas already in it and has a top sheet, so it works the same.
Okay, so you like made your own app. That's
Yeah,
very,
it's the same
yeah.
look.
No, that's good, and that's a good resource. And some of the people in the chat and in the questions were wondering about how to do budget because that is definitely a skill that um,
I can't hear you.
calling me. I'm not sure if my audio
Oh, you're good. Yeah, you're
stopped.
on. Sorry.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, budgeting is definitely not something that's even taught in all film school settings or not. Like, there's like sometimes there's a learning curve for the producing side too. But when you're doing cinematography and producing, you're almost like producing your own team and your own side of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to. That makes me a lot more comfortable in the numbers because then because also producers don't know a lot of the equipment we're getting, and I have a lot of companies like in New York and in LA and in Atlanta. I have a lot of rental companies that I work with, and they'll give me good deals, and then I can work everything out with them. So if you have hands in the numbers, you can manipulate everything a lot more and just get a lot more out of it. Um, and then you can pick like what place you want to rent from, which I care a lot about. If you're doing budgets, I think the two biggest things are whatever the deductible on your insurance is going to be, put that in the budget. Assume you're spending it, like assume it's spent. And then in addition to that, add 17% contingency to every department. And then you will come in under budget. And like, there's nothing that looks nicer to a producer or to companies that look at you later than say like, well, we budgeted 500,000 for this film and we came in at 425. That's incredible. Like or we came in right at the money. Like that's great. Like to have space, and like don't be too under because they don't want to think you mismanaged. But like if you budgeted like you budgeted that you'd hit your deductible, you budgeted all this contingency, and then you were lower. That looks always nice. Like as a DP, when I come in under, producers obviously love that.
Yeah, definitely. Is that something you tell people when you're putting yourself out there? Like, hey, I got this. This is a skill that I have. Have
Um,
me on your team. Or is that just your hidden tool belts of talents?
I actually don't usually say that because I don't want to oversell what I do or have them overbook me on too many things, like to think I'm doing more than I'm gonna. But like usually if a production company picks me to like DP, I'll be like, okay, cool, can I just get the flat rate and do this? And then I'll just do it. And then I'll come in under and it'll be then I'm like I make good friends with producers. I really like producers. So like I just usually try to get tight with them so that they know like they're getting the best bang for their buck.
Yeah, when you're, I think that also helps with the long-term relationship side, where it's not like, oh, you're in it for the one job. It's like, hey, let's build a working relationship where maybe you'll call me for your next project.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. The producer of my first feature that I brought her onto the first feature, she got me on the second feature. She got me the interview. We work together all the time. She's a great producer. And that's yeah, one of our things is that we try to look out for each other. Like we went to grad school together. We've worked together for a long time. So we're just always trying to help each other out. And it's good because it's like if you're coming in under budget and then one day you need something, like, oh, twist, this location has no lights, we need a tow plan. And that's not in the budget, then they're a lot more forgiving. If you're usually under and then one day you're over, they're going to be a lot nicer. Like it just happens.
Yeah, it's that the consistency of character too, where they know the type of person that you are, and I'm not sure the right words to describe it, but it's, when they know you, it's less of like, oh my gosh, this happened. It's like, no, they know you as a person. They know that you're like doing such a great job, and there becomes grace for maybe other things or moments or something like that.
One of the directors, producers I work with is type Vishant. He's amazing. He typed on the little chat, so I was just saying hi.
Yes, hello. I'm looking to see if there's more questions. I think we answered a lot of these. What is next for you? We talked about how you started out in the industry, projects you're proud of, things you're working on right now, your dreams. Do you have anything coming up that you want everyone to be aware of or to look for?
Yes, so Cafe Americano, the second feature I shot, is in festival now, but I am 100% sure it's going to get distribution. When that's out, please see it. It's a mockumentary comedy. It's incredible. The writer, director, producer, Alex Scheinman is he's one of my favorite people. We're really good friends now. I hope to keep working with him. It's especially if you're in the film industry, it's hilarious. And it's incredibly timely. He did fantastic. I remember I was reading the script, and it was page 3 that I just started laughing like hysterically, and then it just kept going all the way through. And I fought so hard for that job because the script is so good, and it came out really well. He's super incredible. And then I am signed on to a feature film that's supposed to be shooting in North Carolina next year. I don't know how much I can share about that, so just
Be
vague.
on the lookout.
Yeah, vaguely on the lookout. And then I am attached to, as a cinematographer, to a feature film. It's the thriller about ableism. We're pitching a couple bigger companies right now, but if we're still doing pitch meetings. So if anybody's looking for a thriller about ableism, it is pretty great, and it's indie. And I'm very excited to shoot it. We did a dogma for that one. Me and that director do dogmas, and one of our dogmas for it is the protagonist is in a wheelchair, and so we are trying to keep the camera at his eye level and on a dolly as much as possible for as much of the film as we can. So the production designers are going to do some stuff with the ceilings, and it's going to be a really fun one.
Oh, neat. Do you do things like that for your other films where it's specific visual something different?
So I definitely do it for music videos that I do. Oh, I'm shooting a couple more music videos coming up. But yes, so me and this director usually do dogmas, and we do little rules that we try to stick to, and they're really fun. Like a big one for us, and the next one is that symmetry is king. And whenever possible, the camera should be moving, and it should always be on a dolly, not a steady cam, to mimic the wheelchair. But yeah, I love little dogmas. In my lookbooks and in my pitch decks, I usually include like little rules that as a cinematographer I'm going to try to follow, which just adds a different layer of challenge. But usually comes up with like, I don't know, it always like makes something really great because it's harder. Like, but little organic things come out of it, and I love it. So I usually try to.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of how sometimes the best stories are told when there are not just rules and dogmas, but when it's more contained. Mm-hmm. Like when you have the entire universe and the entire world, sometimes you can get more of a story when it's about a family or like one location, or like when you have some sort of confining thing, there's somehow not more room, but there's like the ability to have something more because of those confining attributes.
Yeah, one of my advisors in grad school used to say like limitations, yeah, breed creativity. You have to. My first feature is all one location. Like if you, I like to add limitations, like because yeah, it makes you have to be better in a new way. Like the rules are you can only do this. Like so for like the certain times of the movie we can't use, like we're trying to use like Cook lenses. So coded and uncoated is part of our package. So when we're in one location, the lenses will always be the coded, and when we're in any other location, they're uncoated. And like so that's hard because like sometimes you want to do something for a look and you can't because it's against the rules. So I mean you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's like did you see the movie Theory of Everything?
I did not.
So the DP in that did this. It's about Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
And the DP did this thing where when he finds out that that his illness is happening, he starts using anamorphic lenses. So whenever we're in that timeline where he's aware that he's going to get more and more disabled, they use anamorphic lenses. And then when we're in all the other times, they use spherical. And it's a very cool way to like really affect the viewer. And it's like I love that so much.
Is that for the dogmas and the limitations, is that something that's primarily a DP's job, or something that's always thought of with the director and the DP, or a different combination?
It depends on who I'm working with. With Michael, me and him usually come up with them together when we're doing the shot list. We usually do it at the beginning, and because it'll shape the shot list. With other directors, if it's stuff that affects them, like I'll have it in the lookbook. Like I usually have a filter plot. So like on this movie I'm doing in North Carolina, the filter plot is we start out with like, let's say essentially 3 layers of filters. And then as the character gets more and more, he's not disabled, he suffers from an illness. But when he gets more and more ill, we pull back layers of filters so the image becomes more and more contrasty and more visceral, and we also go wider and wider lenses. And that's I'm the director, but like I'm not sure. I think that's usually a cinematographer. So it's between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've not heard anyone talk so much about it. I've definitely seen examples in films, but that's so neat to kind of hear even how you come up with those. It's a lot of like in film school they talk about okay shadows and like okay this person doesn't know what's going on so their face is in shadow and things
Yeah.
like that. But to expand upon it and make up your own rules is super cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Everything is as long as you make it. Yeah, if you make the rules for the universe and then live by them, it's so much fun. And then people don't know, but they feel it, which is cool. I do love that. That's one of my favorite things, the enlightenment theory, when somebody realizes something important, there's a light hits them. I love that. Whenever that happens in movies, like a car drives by and the headlights hit them, and I'm just like, ah, I love it so much.
Like they got it.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And I like how you said making up the rules for the universe because every, like, as a director slash DP or like a combination of both, you're making a world and people are feeling it and experiencing it and living through it by watching. So it has this very, like in writing like fantasy or world building, you can do whatever you want, but when you're making the world, it becomes more relatable
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it weirdly grounds it because it has its own reality. It's like story rules are fun too. Like A Quiet Place has great rules. That movie works so well because the
Yeah.
rules are good. Like, and we know the rules starting. Wes Craven did that really well too. He does like incredibly well establish rules and then sticks with them.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice for people who are writers, maybe on this call, where when you're making up a world, that's sometimes a good place to start when you're stumped. You're like, I want to write something new and cool. It's like, okay, build something,
Yes.
limit it, and watch it unfold. That might
Yeah.
be a prompt, perhaps.
Yeah. I think that following characters, making the rules and following characters is really incredible. Um, the rules of the Buffy universe were always really, really well done. That's why the show I think was so successful. And it's a hard line to walk because like I think George Lucas struggles with um, telling us too much about the rules. And I think that, which is like I'm throwing shade at George Lucas, like I'm anything. But I think that like there's a movie that came out last year about zombies in Vegas, and I think the problem with that was that they didn't tell us enough. There's
Mm.
all this really cool stuff that they're introducing in visuals, and I'm just like there's a zombie who's a robot that I don't know why, and I'm like, but why I want to know why. So I
Do
think
you,
it's
yeah, do you find a good balance there of showing and telling, showing versus telling, or, vice versa?
any rules you can establish visually are the best. But I think in A Quiet Place, I'm trying to remember if they tell us the rules or if we just know by context clues. I think they show us because in the opening scene is the cold open. We learn the rules from a scene. So if you can tell us the rules in a scene, um, that is incredible. Especially if the one major rule should be told visually. But then like little rules can be sprinkled in dialogue. But yeah, as much as you can show visually with the rules, like the fountain does really well, showing all the rules.
I love that. We have one more question here, which is with all of the booming work in Atlanta, why move to LA? And that may be a personal question from somebody who might have wanted you to stay in Atlanta, but
Yes. I do love Atlanta, and I did have a great time there, and I will be coming back whenever I get work. I think because my network is in Los Angeles, but I do love traveling work. So I got to shoot in New York this year, Atlanta. I'm trying to shoot in New Orleans. I got to shoot in Ohio. So I stay in LA because it's where my network is based, but I am always down to go to Atlanta. Plus, it's really close to my mom, and Vishant's there, and I do adore working with him.
awesome. Amazing. Well, we're coming up on the hour and I've gone through most of these. I've had such a fun time chatting with you and hearing your story and also picking your brain about all things industry. This was so fun.
This is
Is there
great.
anything else you want to tell people about? Let anybody know? Any last minute nuggets of wisdom for people starting out in the industry, perhaps?
Um, don't let people treat you like crap. Take everything seriously, but not personally. Um, and if you're on a job that makes you feel like you're gonna quit the industry, quit the job. Go to
Mm,
a job, replace yourself, but quit the job. I think we're artists and we're essentially children for life, so you should enjoy what we're doing. But yeah, also, I don't know, nobody is ever too big or too great to learn stuff from people. So good.
I love that, and I that's so great. If you ever want to quit, sometimes it's the immediate circumstance in front of you, but you still have that dream.
Yeah, yeah. People can crush you, um, but just like take a deep breath and just walk away. Like if a job makes you want to quit the industry, it's the job.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Gabriel. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. Everybody, if you're not already, please go follow Gabriel and the work that she's doing. Stay connected and stay connected with the Women in Film Project too. We have more of these interviews going on over the coming months. We're excited to continue to share stories and just build that community of filmmakers and make connections like this and encourage you guys to reach out and ask questions. And we're here for you on this journey. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care and talk soon.
Right. Bye.
Bye.